Hello and welcome on the Watches TV. Welcome at our Geneva Club, and today, and to talk about different types of watches, we will present 4 interesting options, meaning reasonably priced watches. Yes, we are also capable of doing that. Actually, there are many reasonably priced watches out there, not mentioning some very interesting projects seen on Kickstarter and the likes, but we made a total subjective choice that I will now share with you, and we will start with a cool watch by British brand Christopher Ward, but of Swiss origin when it comes to its making. So this watch is the C1 Moonglow, and you guys probably remember my utter respect for the Heure de la Lune from Hermès. Well, here I can go with a much cheaper version, or more importantly, an available one. Okay, it's obviously not exactly the same, actually quite far from it, but in my head I do like the little analogy with one of my favorite watch of the last couple of years. So this watch comes in a 40.5mm steel case, nice classical design, well executed, and inside you will find a Selite movement, the SW200, rebranded caliber JJ04, as the team of Christopher Ward brought a few tricks to it, and the most obvious illustration are these 2 moons opposite of each other. They are on a disc, which in fact acts as the main dial with some deep, dark, starry sky. And this disc revolves around the central axis of the dial in 59 days, a moon cycle being approximately 29.5 days. So the current and correct moon is seen on the upper part of the dial, and you can guess quite explicitly the other one as it sits below a slightly translucent glass, so it's there without being too present either. A nice feature of these moons are their 3D aspects, and this comes definitely more to life at night thanks to some quite intense superluminova applied to them. But that's not all which can be seen, as you indeed have an original date display with a rotating disc and a red marker standing by the current date, and this is also something you can see pretty well in the dark. I don't know how useful it is to know the date while you're in the dark, but regardless of this, it looks cool. So to set both indication is pretty easy. You just pull the crown 1 notch, and going in one direction will set the moon, and in the other direction you will set the date. And one last thing is that the moon is not jumping from one day to the other. The disc is actually moving constantly, ever so slowly, and they say that if the watch was to run continuously, it would be accurate for the next 120 years, but I guess I won't be there to verify this. And final info for this C1 Moonglow, well, it is its price set at 1970 Swiss franc. Okay, next watch, and this is kind of a revival since the Nevada Grandson brand used to be pretty popular at one stage, but the quartz crisis took its toll on it like so many other brands at the time, and I hope we're not living this all over again, trying to keep optimistic, of course. Anyhow, the watch I have in my hand is part of the Chronomaster Aviator Sea Diver collection, and it really does look like the original model, and something that I immediately want to point out, and for me makes the main originality of this model, is its size coming at 37mm, something we are definitely not used to seeing that much anymore, especially when we're talking chronographs. So it makes it more compact, and for people with small wrists like mine, well, it just sits pretty nicely. There are multiple combinations possible, and the one I have today comes with this black dial and black chrono subdials, but it also exists with beige subdials or full white or panda style white and black subdials. And the other choices concerns the hand, either arrow type like on this one, or baton style, both naturally coated with SLN. And if you wonder what this red little indication is, well, it's a regatta feature with a scale going from 5 to 0, kind of a 5-minute countdown. But since it's quite small, I am not convinced I would take out my loop to check the remaining time available before crossing the start line. Well, then you also have a choice of bracelet, rubber, leather or metallic, and they are very easy to change by yourself. So if you want to know more, well, link below, and price of this watch in this configuration is approximately 1900 Swiss francs, but it ranges from that price to 1700 Swiss franc with the rubber bracelet for this revival watch, and the movement inside is also Selite, the SW510, and interestingly you can choose between an automatic version or a manually hand-wound version, and doesn't have any impact on the final price. Okay, next watch, and we will go down the route of light watches with the Formax Essence Legera, the Forged Carbon edition, and yes, this watch is light. Only 63 grams the way it stands here, and it makes it, of course, very comfortable to wear. I mean, you hardly feel it thanks to the use of a carbon fiber composite case, this fabric strap, and I do like that they also use carbon for the clasp. which, by the way, you can adjust pretty easily with a quick adjustable system. I mean, you don't have to change the position of the bracelet on the clasp. Sometimes this could be a bit tedious, but here it's actually very easily done with a little pusher. And this is obviously very convenient, like for instance when you're on a flight and your wrist gets a little bit more swollen. And well, I know it doesn't concern that many people today, but one day things will get back to normal. Okay, let's get back to the watch, and the forged carbon concerns the dial only, as you can see when playing with light. And around it, the bezel is made out of ceramic, same regarding the crown, bringing in a bit of shininess compared to the matte aspect of the carbon case. In terms of size, it's 43 millimeter in diameter, it's water resistant to 100 meters, and the movement is the STP-1-11, kind of a clone of the ATA 2824-2, and holds 44 hours of power reserve for this self-winding watch. Regarding the bracelet, you also have a choice between rubber and some leather options, and the price of this watch is also set around 1900 Swiss francs, but with worldwide shipping included. And just wanted to add that if you like diver's watch, well, Formax will soon make available a new model called Reef. Looks pretty cool, just saying. Alright, final watch, and this one is really different. It comes from a German watchmaker based in Munich called Thomas Schneller, apparently a regular viewer of our videos, and that makes us very happy. And he contacted me and sent me this cool looking watch with this nice Art Deco feel to it. This is more or less a prototype version, but it does give you a good enough idea of the final product. I'll get back to the design aspect in a sec, but one of the interesting parts of this watch is its movement, since it's a vintage Longines movement from the 40s. Thomas managed to get his hands on approximately 20 such movements. He serviced them and then decided to design and build a case around it in his workshop. So you definitely have this old school feeling looking at the movement, looking at this angular 20s, 30s shaped case, which I really adore with these nice little steps. But then this overall matte gray color of the case and the dial definitely brings some modernity with this minimalist approach when you look at the indexes, the font used for the numerals, the hands, kind of a slight parallel with some other Nomos German watches. I find it quite pure, well balanced, and I like how the glass just, sits on the case. Okay, here this is made out of plexiglass. The final version will have proper sapphire glass both for the front and the back case. And naturally, this is a hand-wound watch. So like I said, the production limit is set by the number of movements available. And I've seen quite a few of the what we call mariage type of watches, meaning vintage watches encased in a new case. Often result is so and so. But here I really think it works extremely nicely with its own character. And I've been wearing it quite a lot, and I must say that I've gotten quite a few comments, generally quite appreciative ones. So the price of this watch is also set around 2000 Swiss francs. We try to remain in this price bracket for the watches presented today. And if you want to know more about Thomas's watch, well, go to his website and inquire directly with him if you're interested. And one general comment I would like to make, and I find this also quite interesting, is that all the watches we talked about can all be purchased online directly on the brand's website. Okay, interesting. Like I said, this was indeed a very subjective selection, and that's the way it is, but my goal was to show you different options like the one I'm also wearing today and that we covered in our latest unboxing video. And we are all entitled to like it or not, that's totally fine. So this is it for this special report. We'll go back to some of our crazy timepieces soon. Don't worry about that, but this was nevertheless quite fresh and fun to do. So the very best to all. Thanks for watching, and Viva Watchmaking, and you take care.